Do you know the casino asked us not to show that on YouTube? They've made the math worse and no one's paid any attention. This is the squeeze. You know, the payback is terrible. It's a terrible machine. You're getting on this machine right now. You know what I'm saying? And instead of one ball flying at you, there's gonna be 3 balls flying at you. You can't win because the casino's math works against you. You just get paid like absolute. Instead of 35 to 1, you're getting like 20 to 1 on the. But people online love this game. And it's so rigged. Hello, my name is David with Casino Quest, and today I am here to share with you why players don't win here in Vegas and how Vegas is winning all of your money. So let me break this down, why it's so hard to win, or why aren't players winning more money? Why did Las Vegas rake in over $15 billion in gaming revenue last year? It's quite simple. You don't know how to win. Vegas does. Vegas knows how to win your money. On a craps table, the house edge should be something like 1.5%. Pretty low, right? You should be able to walk up to a craps table, and for every $100, you may lose a couple bucks. The actual hold on a craps table, what the casino reasonably expects to win, is more like 16%. On a blackjack table, the house edge could be as low as 0.5%. It should only be 0.5%. But the actual hold is more like 14%, you see? And this is all contributed to the casinos making all of this money on each of these games and how they profit. So now we're gonna break down exactly how it is you're not taking advantage of these tables. So the first thing is quite literally a law of big numbers. So the idea is there's a lot of people coming to Vegas and the math can be real little, right? So they only really need a small house advantage if you multiply that out by millions of visitors and millions of hands. Now, realistically, on a blackjack table, on the strip with an experienced dealer, if you have 6 people at a table, you can get 400 hands per hour. Now imagine you multiply that by 100 blackjack tables and you're running these tables 24/7. And yes, it's 400 an hour. In fact, if you're a beginning dealer, they usually like you to get up to the 200 hands per hour. And dealers are rated. There is someone out there who is going to audit that dealer and make sure that they're able to deal at this level. Let me tell you, it's a thing here in Las Vegas. You can't make it to those big strip hotels if you're not a proficient dealer and you're not able to generate this hands per hour, because again, it comes to the volume of the hands. Literally, on a dice game, it's let's get a roll. On a blackjack game, it's let's get a hand. On a baccarat game, it's let's get those shoes on the table. Let's get those people in their seats. You follow? So it's all about this moving forward. And so in that sense, we look at sort of the volume of play, right? And then we look at, multiplying that out. 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now we're gonna get to a little bit more of the fun parts and how you are your own cog. Most players that come to Vegas, they don't come to Casino Quest, they're not learning the games, right? They're not learning the odds, they're not learning the strategies, they don't come very well informed, and so what do? They just have a seat, they have some money, maybe they've watched a YouTube video from other players, by the way, not from the casinos themselves. So what players do very consistently is they make terrible choices. They make bad bets, they make mistakes, where to play, what to play, how to play. They don't come with a plan. And when you look on YouTube and you start following a lot of these influencers, guess what they're doing? They're doing silly stuff.
I think I'm just gonna go ahead and sell my car and put it on black.
What are we talking about? Well, on a blackjack table, if you're splitting tens and you're not in a blackjack tournament, you know what I mean? That's a silly thing to do. If you're on a dice game and you're throwing money in to bet the 12 or the aces, you might as well be playing roulette. Those are terrible bets on a craps table. Terrible, terrible bets on a craps table. And I can go down, as a dealer myself, for over 30 years and being in the gaming business, I can go down and I can sit you down at every single table and show you all the things that you're doing wrong. But the casinos, they don't mind. There's no guardrails there. You can basically do what you want. There are actually alerts, by the way. So if you're doing something really crazy on a blackjack table, at some point, that crazy is going to get an alert. At some point, they're going to come over and they're going to see if, let's say, you're counting cards, or maybe you know something, and more often than not, you don't. You're just being silly, you're too many drinks in, you're making some bad mistakes, and you know what? You know what that same floor supervisor will come up? They're going to call a host. They want you. They want you to come back over and over and over again. And by the way, if a host comes to talk to you too quickly while you've just started gambling, you may want to take some lessons on how to play, because that's usually one of the first red flags to say, you know what, you may not know what you're doing. You may be the easy mark. Casino loves easy marks, dude. You see what I mean? That's worth the free buffet. Okay, maybe 2 free buffets. All right, now let's talk about an era in Las Vegas history that will be known shortly as the Great Squeeze, when Vegas went from really quite competitive games with fairly good odds. 3-2 blackjack, double deck, pitch games. You know what I mean? The things that some of us that are older came to expect years ago. If you really remember, they used to have a big marquee out in front of the casino, and they would advertise how great their table games were. Now, you know what they don't do anymore? They don't advertise how great the table games are. They advertise how great their shows are, how great their baked potatoes are, how great everything else is, not so much the table games, because guess what? They really can't advertise their table games because they're not that great. And that's why we've moved into this new era called the Great Squeeze. The casinos have found a way, let's just say, alleviate you of your finances. You know what I mean? Just further distract you from what you're trying to accomplish at a table game. So for example, 3-2 games, not so many anymore. Guess what they're paying now? 6-5 blackjacks, 6-5 blackjacks. It's usually written right there. If the blackjack is 6-5 or 3-2, it's literally right on the layout. You can see it. If the dealer hits or stays on a soft 17, it's right there on the layout. You're playing a slot machine, right? Yeah. If you go back in time and you look at the double diamonds and the blazing sevens, all these had a very reliable sort of outcome. It was easy to follow. You knew how you would win. The paybacks were 99, 100%. And they used to have big signs on the top of it that said 98%, 99%. You follow? It would tell you the paybacks. And they would advertise sometimes 100% payback. You know, I never knew how they made any money on those machines. How you go back 100%. But those existed. Guess what? They threw all those signs out, dude. There's no more of those signs. The signs would read, "You're getting fucked on this machine right now." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I went to a casino out of Vegas Market. They had a Keno machine. Now a Keno machine 5-spot should pay $750 to over $800. This casino on a $5 machine for a 5-spot. Do you know what they paid? $126.
Oh, really?
No one's reading. And let me tell you something, those side bets that are 20-1 and 50-1 and 150 or whatever that look very exciting, guess what? Those are the worst bets. Some of them, there's what we call a lollipop sign that will advertise these progressive jackpots that could be hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. And guess what? Those are the worst bets. 000 roulette. Right now we're on 000 roulette. In a minute we're going to be on triple ball with 000 roulette. Just so you know, it's coming.
How does the triple ball work?
Oh, it's crazy. Have you seen it online?
No.
So they have this like lightning round. So what ends up happening is someone makes a bet, or there's something that plays out on the roulette table with just the one ball.
Yeah.
And it triggers all these other balls now just popping up and spinning into the wheel.
Yeah.
And if any of those balls land on a number that you get a multiple, depending upon where you are. It's called lightning roulette or some shit like this. They already have it on online.
But if it doesn't hit, what?
Yeah, like what's the takeaway? It just you just get paid like absolute. Instead of 35-1, you're getting like 20-1 on the. You know what I mean? Like the base payouts are much less. You follow?
Okay.
But people online love this fucking game, and it's so rigged, dude. So the next area that the casino really has you by the short hairs are the distractions.
Jingle, jingle, pay attention.
And also sort of the comping elements. It's not so much just a casino, it's a resort. And what does a resort have? A resort's got a spa, it's got a nice hotel, it's got nice restaurants and all these other things. So let's start with the distractions. The most obvious distractions at many of these center strip properties, if a pretty girl or pretty person really is dealing to you, you should read the layout very quickly. But usually they put them into these, what they like to call a pleasure pit, a fantasy pit, a dancing pit. Oh, don't get me started on the dancing. If they're dancing, just know that's the worst odds. On top of that, guess what? Someone's bringing you cocktails, maybe coming over and offering you comps if you play enough. Guess what? A host might come and talk to you and be like, hello, Mr. or Mrs. Guess what we have? Special rooms, special events, special things, just lots of special. And guess what special is? Special costs you money, but more importantly, it distracts you from the game itself. And Vegas has become really, really adept at this in creating an environment, very cozy, warm lights, a great big smile, pretty people, great cocktails, you know what I'm saying? All of it put together is contributing to this dynamic. The next big category, it might actually be the biggest category, is the emotional play or the emotional player. We call them pocket princesses, or for some of you, a pocket prince. How about that? But the idea is most people come to Vegas with cash. They got their room locked up, and maybe they got some plans on dinners, entertainment. Don't get me started on F1. In fact, it's crazy how many people start out saying, you know what, I'm gonna sit down at this one slot machine. Next thing you know, they're at high limit. When we're talking emotional play, oh, we got stacks and stacks and stacks of really good psychological warfare going on. It's you versus you. First of all, how many of you have a hard budget? I mean a hard budget where you're not gonna chase. And we've seen it many times. You know, you come with this idea of how you're gonna interact with the game, but that all falls apart the minute you hit the floor for whatever reason. We have no exit plan. That's another thing, it's crazy. Like, you win a shit ton of money and you don't know when to leave. I know a couple that won a slot machine when they first got here and ended up at the end walking their ass from Center Strip all the way to the airport because they couldn't afford a cab. This is what happens in Vegas. This is why the emotions play such a huge role, and casinos know it.
Yeah.
We one time played what we call suicide blackjack. So the idea is you have this counter and you count down, and it basically forces you to keep putting more and more money in. Do you know the casino asked us not to show that on YouTube? Let's do $10, mostly $10 game. They win 6 of these in a row, they're gonna win $60. By the way, this means nothing to this person. You might think it does. You're risking very little to win arguably very little. $60, that's dinner for half a person basically. It depends on where you go. Let's do this parlay. Are you ready? Hit number 1, win number 2, win number 3, win number 4, win number 5, and then the next one is this is 320, so it's 640. $640 is a win. But we are so emotionally trained to just grind out and what we call flat betting. You can't win because the casino's math works against you. But you know what you can take advantage of is the chaos. This is the lucky parts of gambling. You paid for your plane, you paid for your room. $20 doesn't mean anything nowadays. But people prescribe a value, you know what I mean? They have it in their head and it restricts them from how they bet. You have to rethink how you approach the game, because if you allow your emotionalism on both sides, whether you go on tilt or whether you're trying to, create opportunity for yourself, you have to disconnect the emotional parts of your brain. You know what's crazy? If you're here in Vegas long enough, you're gonna win 6 in a row. This is how they have record revenue, because people don't know how to gamble. So let's talk about the other area where the casino really pulls you in, dude. Game design and the illusion of control. So the idea is to create an environment where you feel like you have control. The best example I can give you about how someone feels in control is midi baccarat. Midi baccarat, the shoe is already pre-shuffled and all the cards are in the shoe. Okay, so you're betting on a future essentially that's been preordained, because those cards are coming out exactly as they are already. No one knows how they are, but they're coming out. What you do is you bet on the player and the banker. But basically you want the bigger number. Midi baccarat, they will actually, depending upon where you bet, they will actually give you cards to hold and look at. But they have no bearing on anything. Like, the dealer could have just pulled the cards out themselves and shown you, but the player gets a chance to to look at the cards. What role does this have in the outcome of the hand? Zero. It's literally nothing. It means nothing except, guess what? The player feels better about it. But if you go by a midi game and you see people interacting with those cards, you will think that somehow they have had a role in the outcome of the game. And they will be yelling and they'll be all these emotional. Some of them will tear the card up and throw it back at the dealer. I mean, it looks like a contact sport. And this goes on, by the way, throughout the casino environment. But basically, let's just say the casino is designed in a way to make you feel, at least, like you have more control than you actually do. In closing, Vegas is a business. It doesn't have to cheat. It's run by people who respect the business, who understand the business. They understand the psychology, they understand the math, they understand human nature. And these all contribute to literally incredible revenue. You know what I mean? Why do casinos pay a lot of taxes? Because they're taking a lot of money from you. Now, what's the solve? Well, that's gonna be the very next video. But here's the thing. At Casino Quest, we teach you what games to look for, how to play the games, right? What to know, how to avoid the emotionalism, and how to actually gamble so that you have a chance of winning real money and leaving with more than just a free drink and a cup. This is David signing off. Until next time, good luck to you, and don't forget to tip your dealer. And then off to Keno to unwind.
Well, the truth is,